at the Welsh Institute of Sport, the brilliant new dojo down here in Cardiff, and I'm privileged to have Mr. Alan Petherbridge with me, who was 1964 Olympian, has just been inducted into the Hall of Fame, the Welsh Hall of Fame, and the only judoka ever to have that honour. And Alan, we said we were going to just talk about some of the nice things about developing judo. First question I'd like to ask is, I mean, you were just saying there when you started judo, which was when?
1946 in Berlin.
1946, and how has kind of judo developed since then?
Well, it's a different world, completely different world now. You know, I started in Spandau Barracks in Berlin from Yukio Tani's book, 4 or 5 of us. And then when I came home, I joined Swansea Judo Society. Then I went to London and I joined the Budokai, but it was in Lower Grosvenor Place. And it's progressed from there. In fact, it's quite unreal.
Well, we know, don't we, that the British team was based, wasn't it, in London in the early days?
It was, yes.
And, you know, I mean, we see the system now. I mean, they've got, you know, different foreign coaches, you know, that have been brought into British judo. Just give us a little bit of your thoughts about, you know, about that.
Well, I think a lot of these foreign coaches have been very good, but I can't understand why we've not used our own coaches. Our history is bigger and stronger than anybody else's if we want to go back. We've produced some of the greatest players in the world. And this axiom came out that you don't have to be a good coach to be a good player. And it went from you don't have to be a good player and you couldn't be a good coach if you were. And it's ridiculous. We should have our own people. We've got plenty of people here. And our greatest successes, and yours in particular, have been when we've had British coaches. And,
you know, do you think it's unique to Britain? I mean, it's not unique to judo, is it? I mean, because you hear it all the way through all the different sports. Soccer, for example, got exactly the same problem because they're bringing foreign coaches in. And, you know, is it the British mentality?
Well, I wonder if it's a lack of confidence. You know, it's something that we're doing with all sports. And we're getting a little bit too academic with coaching on one thing or another. And if you have an academic trend, you can become a coach.
I always think that it has gone very sports science, and you know there's no substitute for judo and for quality rendering.
And for experience.
Tell me, like Japan, for example, they have their system. French have their system. What is the difference between the French system and like the Japanese system?
Well, the Japanese system, I think, it's a national thing with them. With the French, it's more of an achievement, and they are very, very proud and very diligent.
But I mean, like in the 1950s, for example, 1950s, 1960s, it was very much, you know, the British team and the French team.
It was only the French and the British team, and the Dutch virtually through Giesink.
Right.
But it was always the British and the French teams who were to the forefront.
So what changed as far as the development was concerned from the 50s, 60s, you know, Britain and France?
Well, I don't know what happened to Britain. We went away from it all, didn't we? We went away from our own people. We went away from our own coaches. I'm still lost to understand why we went away from our own coaches. You know, you had McConnell and Starbrook in your day, and we've not produced greater players since then.
Well, you know, I for me it was a lot to do with coach education, which is why we're here. Actually, you know, we're doing a lot to do with we're doing the Gokyo, but it's not just the Gokyo. We're covering the different techniques that have developed from the Gokyo, and also how to teach it, which is important. But I think the coach education is a big part of it.
This is the word. It's a technical. And it's about the technical aspects, and it's about the technical aspects of coaches. Coaches today are really judged by their academic qualifications and not by their technical ability.
Yeah, and I think you find that, don't you, in the schools all the way through education.
Well, we've gone like that, and we think this is the thing to do. And I think nationally we're in this cleft, but I think it's time we got out of it.
Well, of course, what we have got is we've got our own grading system, which should depict who is an expert.
I think our grading system is in tatters.
Yeah.
I can remember it was the thing to be graded. If you go and take note of all the better players today, they're all low grades. Once they get past first or second dan, they don't bother to go for a grading because they're graded by people now who will demean them.
How would you change that?
Well, I think we've got to go back to the old system where it is the thing to be graded, and I think we've got carried away with giving grades away for academic or services. Yeah. We should never ever have done that in the first place.
So it kind of goes away from the technical aspects of it again.
Yeah, well, you see, I'm a 9th dan, and to me, I'm a 4th dan. And I have more pride in being a 4th dan than being a 9th dan.
I'm exactly the same.
Because when I was a 4th dan, it was the thing to be. Internationally, it was the thing to be. Now, if you're 5th, 6th, 7th, it really doesn't matter. No. It doesn't know where you don't know where you've got it from.
I agree with you. I mean, I always wear my black belt. The black belt is what I was the most proud of, and I always, wear it. Unless I'm doing something that's in front of coach.
That they require and people ask you to wear it. But as you know, I never wore a red belt, and I hardly ever wore a red and white belt.
How would you change that? How would you change the levels? So that we can get the quality of the downgrade, if you will.
Well, we'd have to go back, wouldn't we? We'd have to go back, and we'd have to start making. I was at Manchester at a police event that they held monthly, and I talked to a lot of really good players there, and when I questioned their grades, the highest grade there was a 3rd dan. It should have been 4th or 5th.
Yeah.
And the average was 1st and 2nd dan, and once they got to be 1st dan, once somebody gets to be 1st dan, they don't look to go on any further.
I think it's the wrong way around.
It's the wrong way around.
Absolutely.
It's who can get a grade for what they've done administratively.
How much do you think that the rules? I mean, we've had a massive change of the rules two years ago. I mean, because basically, when the Iron Curtain came down, we had more and more wrestling styles introduced into judo. How do you think that developed? Helped to develop.
Well, I hope it's going to help to develop it the other way, because I can remember it changing. Yeah. I can remember us changing the rules to suit the Eastern Bloc. And when we did that, we turned thousands and thousands of backstreet wrestlers into Olympic players.
And into our sport, which was, not really judo.
It was not our sport. No. And I feel that I really don't know what can be done about it now.
Well,
I'm glad I'm too old.
From the other side of it, I've watched all of the Grand Prix, Grand Slams for the Olympic qualification. They changed the rules. Judo is developing more and more now to stand-up judo, which is a good thing. Can only be a good thing.
Well, it always was stand-up judo, and that was the sport we played. Yeah. And we don't know about bending down. In my day, if you went on with somebody who crouched, you called him a campanologist or a bell ringer, but it became the in to be a campanologist or a bell ringer. Yeah. And this is why we had the negative judo. Yeah.
But from certainly from a technical point of view, and I'm exactly the same as you, and I seem to think that there's not enough technique but we are working at it, and I think if we get the coach education sorted, and like you said, the grading system.
Well, see, I think that the coaches have got to be a little bit better players than they are. Yeah. To my mind, lots of the coaches that I've seen have learned their judo on an academic basis. And when they go and they see people of standard, they're going to learn a trick.
They don't actually learn.
They can teach this trick. They'll watch a trick and they'll teach this trick, but they have no idea or conception of what the judo is about.
No, I agree with that, 100%. So, what I was going to say, obviously we're in this this fantastic dojo now. I mean, it's the first time that you've had a national dojo, and it's a beautiful dojo. Welsh Judo's going up?
Yeah, it is going up. Yeah. And we've got Welsh coaches.
Yeah.
You know, or British coaches.
Yes.
We've got British coaches.
But I mean, but the Welsh people anyway, very nationalistic, you know, I mean, and like you prefer to have Welsh coaches down here coaching your Welsh players?
Well, no, I would, as long as they've got the standard that I would like, you know that.
Yeah.
I want British coaches.
Yes.
I don't particularly want outsiders, because there's something wrong with the outsiders, but I don't think they're necessary.
Welsh Judo now going forward, Commonwealth Games.
Well, the Commonwealth Games, the real Commonwealth Games or the pretending Commonwealth Games?
Well, we do the Commonwealth tournament first, then the Commonwealth Games.
Well, the Commonwealth tournament will bring forward our people,
yeah,
and will bring forward brings everybody together.
Excellent.
And then the Commonwealth Games that will be it's keeping in.
And then the next step after that?
Well, it's going to be the Olympics. But as far as I'm concerned, the strongest contest in the world is European Championships. It's far stronger than the Worlds, yeah, or the Olympics, because in the Worlds or the Olympics, you could get a weak player. Yeah. You're not going to get a weak player in Europe.
Your ultimate best moment of your judo career, what was it?
Well, it was being picked for the Olympics, I think. But because I'd finished then.
Yeah.
But I think to be in the team that won the European Championships 3 years in succession.
That was 1957?
57, 58, 59.
Excellent.
And they're all dead.
And you're still there, still, yeah, going strong.
Yeah.
And that was your proudest moment and your best fight, just to finish on, your best fight.
My best fight ever was with Kitnatse.
The Russian?
Yeah, I threw him off the mat.
Yeah.
And it was his first European Championships. And I'm walking back into the middle. He ran up behind me, picked me up and knocked me out. For which he'd have been disqualified today.
Absolutely.
But, first time ever,
yeah,
he kissed me on the lips.
Nice. A big Russian kisses you on the lips, so that's your best moment in judo. It's, yeah, fantastic. Great. Listen, you know, we've talked about judo past, judo in the future. We really are trying to send judo in a positive manner, and we're trying to bring the technique back. You know, make it as it was.
Yes, and this is what we need, isn't, yeah, it?
And I'd just like to say thank you very much for a great interview. It's been an absolute pleasure.
Thank you, as usual.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.